Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the November 17th Scarborough Town Council meeting, and please ask you to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'm now going to turn the meeting over to our town clerk to swear in our newly elected councilors.
Actually, I'm going to ask the town manager and yourself if you would just go off to the side so I can have,
Well, we were going to roll our seats into them.
if I could have Councilor Sullivan, Wood, and Roy come up, please.
Don't mess it up.
If I can ask you to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and please state your name,
Richard Sullivan.
do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of this state,
and of the state,
so long as I
so long as I
shall continue a citizen thereof.
shall continue a citizen thereof.
I, and please state your name,
I, Richard Sullivan,
do swear that I will faithfully discharge,
do swear that I will faithfully discharge,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my abilities,
the duties incumbent upon me
the duties incumbent upon me
as a member of the Scarborough Town Council,
as a member of the Scarborough Town Council,
according to the Constitution and the laws of the state,
according to the Constitution and the laws of the state,
and the Charter of the Town of Scarborough.
and the Charter of the Town of Scarborough. Thank you.
I'll make copies and give them. Thank you.
And now we're going to act on the nomination election of a town council chair, and following that, we're going to play musical chairs. So I'm turning that back over to the clerk.
Order number 10-97 is act on the nomination and election of a new town council chair. At this time, I'll entertain nominations.
I nominate Judith Roy.
Second.
Are there any other? Any discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. So Judy takes up.
Yep.
Now we have musical chairs.
Right. Can't do that, Mike.
Oh, man, we're going to be fighting over it now.
I did it. Is this the George?
First, I just want to thank my fellow councilors for putting faith in me that I can chair this council. I look forward to working with everybody. I believe that it's a council of the whole, and I think together we can accomplish a lot of good things this year. I also, at this time, would like to thank Carol Rancourt for doing a stellar job being council chair last year, and it's not easy to keep all the things in your head, but we have councilors and an able town manager that keeps us on task. So, thank you very much.
Order number 10-98 is act on the nomination and election of a new town council vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Councilor Mike Wood.
Second.
Motion second.
It's
I
been
think
moved
it was
and
Ron.
seconded. Any other motions, nominations? All those in favor?
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the vote of confidence. Look forward to working with Judy and the rest of the council, of course.
Okay, item 4, roll call.
Councilor Alquist?
Here.
Councilor Holbrook?
Here.
Councilor Sullivan?
Here.
Councilor DeAndrea?
Here.
Councilor Rancourt?
Here.
Councilor Wood?
Here.
Council Chair Roy?
Here. Item 5 is general public comments. I remind you that your comments need to be limited to 3 minutes. We do allow 30 minutes at the beginning of every meeting so that comments can be made. People may speak a second time once everybody's had that opportunity. I'd also like to remind people that if you do have a cell phone, that you turn them off because it does interfere with our communication system. So With that, I would open a public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on any item?
My name is Maura Erickson, and I live down at 288 Pine Point Road. I know tonight you're not going to be discussing the parking situation at Higgins Beach, but I may not, I guess next Wednesday you're going to, and I don't know if I'll be busy cooking. But I just wanted to beg you to rethink the idea of limiting parking at a public beach. I just can't believe that you think that by allowing 30-minute parking is going to encourage people to go to Higgins Beach. The only thing that's going to happen is no one's going to go to Higgins Beach, and everyone at Higgins is going to have their own little private beach over there, and people are going to go to all the other beaches. And that's not what Scarborough's all about. It's about sharing the public access. I know we've had some trouble with public access and the idea of it when we gave away the piece of property down in Pine Point. I know that you gave away that land, but you bought property in Higgins to encourage people to go to the beach. So by limiting 30-minute parking, it's not a good idea, and I really hope you take into consideration. I don't know anyone who goes to the beach for 30 minutes, especially if you have kids and you want to go there in the wintertime. You can barely get your kids out of the car in 30 minutes and bring them to the beach. And then I guess my other question is who is going to enforce it? We can't even get police to enforce horseback riders on the beach to pick up their residue that they leave down all over the beach in Pine Point. Every time we complain about that, we don't have the resources to monitor that. Who is going to do that at Higgins Beach? I guess to me, that's a huge problem. If you're going to impose such a thing, then you better figure out how to enforce it, because we haven't figured it out with the horse and all their poop down in Pine Point. So I hope you consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the council? Hearing no one else, we'll close the public comment session. Minutes of the last meeting are not available at this time. Item 7, adjustment to the agenda. Are there any adjustments that any council would like to make to the agenda? And then number 8, items to be signed, treasurer's warrants, I will sign after the meeting. Old business.
Under old business, order number 10-79 is a second reading to adopt a proposed new chapter 1018, Town of Scarborough Secondhand Dealer Ordinance. This item was tabled from the November 3rd, 2010 Town Council meeting.
Move to table?
Second. And a motion to move and to table. All those in favor?
Just for clarification, that's indefinitely or to a date?
Indefinitely,
Okay,
yes.
All those in favor again? Opposed? Thank you.
Order number 10-94 is act to authorize the town manager to enter into an agreement with the residents of the Cranberry Pines concerning improvement and acceptance of Cranberry Pines Road. This also was tabled from the November 3rd, 2010 council meeting.
Good evening. My name is Bruce Bell. I live at 13 West Beach Ridge Road. Earlier this week, I received a telephone call from a friend concerning the order that you have before you, and suggested that I look at the last council meeting as it relates to Cranberry Pines and the improvements that are part of this order. The piece that I am really concerned with is the piece that is the extension of the existing road into a non-improved right-of-way that takes it to the extreme of this property. The part that drew my attention dramatically was the part when the purpose of the right-of-ways were being explained, and the wordage that was used was the greatest potential for this right-of-way extending the road possibly down the road to the far edge, which would be in the north direction, would be for future connectivity to the West Beach Ridge Road. Once I heard that, it was like, oh my God, what's going on? I didn't know that this project was going to have anything to do with us in our neighborhood. As a result of that, I have talked with a number of people, and yeah, it is a possibility. The potential is there if you approve it. But more importantly than all this is one thing that I've heard used, the word transparency, by the councilors. I strongly urge that you councilors table this tonight, this order, until such time as the residents of the West Beach Ridge Road and Grant Road are duly notified of a meeting so that they can be appraised of what potentials there are in approving this order as it relates to that piece of that right-of-way. I'm very concerned because what it ultimately means is we're going to have a through road from the Broad Turn Road to the Beach Ridge Road, which will possibly affect the residents of the West Beach Ridge Road. As a result of any possibility of it being affected, I feel the residents should be duly notified and be appraised of that, all of that information. I strongly encourage you to table this until such time as a meeting can be held with the residents so that they can be appraised of everything that you have and the residents on Cranberry Pines. Thank you.
My name is Ken Rauschke, and I live at 46 Grant Road. And about 45 minutes ago, I read an article in the Forecaster. And there's a couple things that, there are some quotes by Mr. Hall, I assume they're accurate, which really concerns me. First, this is referring to the residents of Cranberry Pines. They don't get any break on their taxes, but they're not enjoying the same level of services as other taxpayers in town. Hello, what breaks do I get on Grant Road, which is a private road? I have to pay extra for picking up trash, recycle, my own snow plowing. Is this going to be setting a precedence? Then another thing, this is really a step in the direction the town's policy should be going. We want to convert private ways to public streets. Great. Let me know what the process is. I think there's some residents on Grant Road and probably other private roads would be very interested. So to me, if you approve this, I think you're really establishing a precedence that I'm not sure it's all that clean. And I have a little bit of a problem with it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mark Millard. I live at 18 West Beach Ridge Road. I don't have a lot to add, but I bought my property on the road because it's a very quiet, private neighborhood, and I would just really hate to see that destroyed, and I think it would if that corridor was ever opened up. That's it.
I'm Peter Weston at 12 Cranberry Pines, and I'm the president of the Cranberry Pines Association that maintains this road and owns this road. A couple things. First, last meeting we talked about the two right-of-ways that come off of the Cranberry Pines Drive right-of-way and the town taking those over. And further digging into that subject in the last 2 weeks, unbeknownst to me, I wasn't living there at the time, but the association voted in 1998 to eliminate those right-of-ways. And they actually had all 13 homeowners at the time signed documents to that fact. Now, nothing further was done with that because the attorney said, you don't need to. You have control over the right-of-ways. You don't need to go and have it documented or have that expense of going in and changing the deeds. Now, that can be undone, but there's some legal issues there that are a little gray and fuzzy to me, not being a lawyer, so that made us nervous. And then we got looking at the map and realized that the one right-of-way in particular really impacted two of our residents adversely. And we felt that wasn't something we wanted to go and stir that up, and potentially, now this has to be an unanimous decision by all 13 owners that we turn this road over to the town. And I just felt we were going to be into a battle, and none of us on the council, none of us on the board felt it was right to push these people to do something that was really going to impact them. So we're taking that off the table. And unfortunately, I didn't know that was kind of something you folks are looking for, and I thought it sounded like a real good win-win situation, but I think we have to reconsider that. So
And there's nothing in it for us.
hopefully that makes sense to everybody, what I'm talking about there. The second issue I want to address is our friends that are over on West Beach Ridge Road, because they're feeling the same concerns that we've felt about making this a public road. Would it become a through road? And the same cars that are going to travel West Beach Ridge Road are going to travel Cranberry Pines Road, so we're in the same boat. And we've been working on this for almost 3 years now, and our feeling is that our road is such that it would not be something people would want to travel because of the kinks and corners in it. The piece of land that's between West Beach Ridge and Cranberry Pines is a private piece of land that may or may not get developed, and it has some really significant problems of trying to put a road in. There's some major ravines, and it would not be a fun place to put a road through, as most of you I'm sure have known if you walked out through there. So our feeling was, yeah, that's a possibility, and it would not be good for us, and it wouldn't be good for you folks, but we just don't see that ever happening. It's just not not in the near future, that's for sure. It's just not and I'm sure the council would not want to see a residential area become a major highway, and you folks would be sympathetic to that too. The time to have that conversation is if that development ever happens, if that piece of property gets developed, and then we need to have this conversation. Really getting us road to be a public road doesn't matter one way or the other, because at that point, if the town wanted to, they could take the road over from us if they really felt they wanted to put a road through. So hopefully that answers the questions, and I'm available for any other questions.
You did read it.
Do we have
Madam Chair.
a motion?
We haven't had a motion.
No.
We need a motion to get the item on the table.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for purposes of discussion to move approval of order number 10-94.
Second.
Discussion.
If I could, it may be helpful if I could just provide a couple of introductory comments to
That
make
would
sure
be
you
very
understand what's in
helpful.
front of you.
Yes.
The document that's contained behind Order 1094 reflects what I believe to have, I heard expressed by members of the council, and it was a fairly comprehensive rewrite of the original draft that was considered the meeting before. Since then, I've had conversations with Mr. Weston and a couple of other association members, and as he just expressed to you, their perspective has changed a bit from the draft that appears before you. And so, to that end, in anticipation of Mr. Weston's comments, I did prepare a draft that was provided to you just before the meeting this evening. So, for that, I apologize in terms of notice, but just appreciate what I've done is accept the changes that were in your packet, essentially, and then there's a couple of key modifications to be consistent. And I just want to follow up on a key change to this. In addition to the right-of-way being removed from the deal, so to speak, the so-called SBA loan, the Small Business Administration loan, was also removed from the deal, and this document does reflect that. That's a pretty key and important distinction, I think. I know members of the council had some concern with the town satisfying that outstanding loan amount. That's no longer part of this deal in terms of the town paying it. It's incorporated into the deal such that the town will be repaid over the term of 15 years, along with the road improvements. Beyond that, I do have some other materials. I guess I'm interested to see where the discussion goes, and I'll jump in if that's okay with council to help you answer any of those questions as you go.
Comments? Mike?
Sure.
Councilor Wood?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This certainly is a matter that requires some careful thought and consideration. To some degree, we've had discussions about Cranberry Pines and its potential to be a public road for at least a couple of years that I've been aware, maybe longer. My feeling is that on the matter of precedence, the gentleman from Grand Road spoke about how can we get on board? Those are my words. Can we do something similar? And I would say that quite possibly, maybe you can, because the thing that's very important here to remember and keep in mind is the residents of Cranberry Pines, the 13 homeowners in Cranberry Pines, are paying for the improvements to make this road meet town standards. Now, this is a little backwards, certainly from my experience on the planning board, where if we imagine Cranberry Pines being an unimproved piece of property, and an applicant, a developer comes forward to the planning board and offers a subdivision site plan for 13 homes, and presents to the planning board that we wish to develop the roads and then turn them over to the public, to the town, which is their right, as long as they meet our standards. They put forth a bond to guarantee that they're built to the standards that the town requires. And before we accept those roads, we inspect them, et cetera. This might be a little bit different, certainly, but it ends up getting us to the same place. In the case of my example, the developer pays for that, and some would argue that the people that are purchasing lots end up paying it through the price of their lots. In this example at Cranberry Pines, the 13 residents are paying for this improvement. So I don't see anything really unusual about this, except for the fact that it's a little bit different in its approach. As far as the right-of-way goes, I too am concerned about interconnectivity and its impact not only to the neighborhood at Cranberry Pines, but the neighborhoods on West Beach Ridge, Broad Turn, traffic, ingress, egress, stacking of traffic on Broad Turn, trying to make right turns to cut through, et cetera, et cetera. I'm also mindful that this council has been very conscientious about approving millions of dollars to improve Dunstan and Higas and Route 1 to make it more convenient for folks to use those roads as opposed to our interior roads. So it would be kind of productive for me personally to advocate for folks to use secondary roads in West Scarborough, if you will, to get around all the effort that we've got to so far. However, I believe that the town owning a right-of-way, that unimproved right-of-way off of Cranberry Pines, that is the key, in my view, to linking any future interconnectivity, is a much better scenario than having a private entity own that right-of-way. If a right-of-way, such as I've described, is owned by a private entity, then the next time you're going to hear of any designs for interconnectivity is when a major developer comes in, buys land in West Scarborough, by West Beach Ridge, maybe communicates with the residents on Cranberry Pines, gives them a better offer than the town's putting on the table, and before you know it, you're at a planning board meeting making your arguments. I think it's best that the town have control of that. I think that the public process, et cetera, is much better served in that scenario. And those are the reasons why I support this agreement that's in front of us today and accepting Cranberry Pines as a public road. And I can go on a little bit more, but I don't want to take too much time, and I know my colleagues have some things to say to that matter also. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councilor Holbrook.
kind of stated this at the last meeting too. For me, the key difference in this agreement was the ability to have those right-of-ways. And that's what made this separate, and this is what made it unique. Outside, without these agreements, I feel like we're a bank. Other than that, we're nothing but a bank. Therefore, go to a bank. I can't support it on a standalone as it is.
Counselor.
The two previous speakers, I think, spoke very well about the issue. I do understand the concern about perhaps the interconnectivity, but I think many of us have different definitions of interconnectivity. It doesn't necessarily mean a road, a vehicle interconnectivity. There are trails, there are, that kind of thing. So there's more than one way to be interconnected. There could be walking paths or sidewalks or whatever you want to call it that would allow people to get a shortcut through a neighborhood, so to speak, to another location, not necessarily with vehicles. And I think on a personal side, I just want to say that for all of us, I think, at least for me, having lived here so much of my life, and hopefully for the rest of it, I tend to think of Scarborough as the kind of the small town it used to be. But everything does change, and so over time, I mean, even the road I live on, which is now a semi-major thoroughfare, was once a residential country road. If you go back far enough, and all of the developments that have come off it are pretty much new in my lifetime. So things do change, and I think having them change on a public thoroughfare helps us as a town to control and to direct, perhaps, how things are going to change in a more careful, thoughtful way than just letting the market dictate that.
Counselor Holbrook.
Just have a quick question. The motion that's on the floor is the original?
Correct.
Or this is the adjusted?
The original at this point.
I might have a motion to table then, because if it's my understanding, they're not, at this time, we've got two separate things here, so maybe if we can table this for two things. The first one is to come back at the next meeting to have a true document of what everybody's willing to agree to, or what everybody's not willing to agree to. And the second is, if we go forward with this, maybe perhaps some opportunity for some time with the West Beach Ridge Road residents to have a meeting.
If I could, procedurally, even if you table, you'll be tabling the document that's behind the ordinance,
Original.
the order rather. So
Okay.
it would require an action on the part of council either tonight or at a future meeting to move a different document in front of you. We cannot do that administratively. It's now before council. It's yours to deal with. You can replace one draft with the other by motion, so it can be that simple.
So I'm not going to second your motion to table so we can continue discussion at this time.
Counselor Sullivan.
Right. I was as soon as we got through getting the right document in front of us, I was going to motion to table it for the 2 weeks to the 1st of December. And my reasons for that would be, I'm not against doing this. However, I think we just got a fresh document in front of us. I need time to digest all of this. And I've been working pretty hard for the last few days to get up to speed on everything going on. And I get up to speed and it changes again on me. So, I think, when I was previous on the council and Cranberry Pines came to us, I was all, for helping out where we could. And I am all for helping out any taxpayer that we can within reason. However, I want to hear the concerns of the people on the West Beach Ridge Road and see how this is all going to work out. And I am going to ask for a table, to table it, but at the proper time. Thank you, Chief.
Counselor Alquist?
I have no problem with tabling this. I think that with what I've heard tonight from everybody, certainly the West Beach Ridge Road, we need some time to sit down and talk to those folks about the new document, what's going on. Nobody should have to hear about this at a hunting camp and have to come all the way back to deal with it. And it's an awful thing there, Bruce, to find out that way. But I remember, Cranberry Pines way back, and those people wanted a private road back then. I think Bruce remembers that well. I mean, we were told at a previous meeting that these folks, the developer went out of business. Well, that wasn't maybe, but I remember very, very vividly that these people wanted a private road, and now things have changed. Like some of the councilors said, things do change, and now we've come up with a way, after many years of discussion and meetings, for that to be possible. I think the kink in it is, the connectivity that everybody talks about. It has certainly raised some alarms with people, and I understand that. I mean, that would certainly, if I lived on the West Beach Ridge Road, I'd be kind of excited right now. So, and I understand the end of that road. I understand that road, I can't imagine ever putting anything through, but I guess today you can do about anything. But this thing has changed, it seems like weekly. The last time we dealt with this, there's 2 items that have changed since that last meeting. So it's okay. We've come a long ways, and to the residents of Cranberry Pines, I've supported this, and I've said that in the past. I still do, but I want to make sure everybody's on the same page. And I will say to the person on the West Beach Ridge Road that said that they'd like to be part of something like this, well, okay, come up with the money. Like these folks are doing, they're coming up with the money to pay for these improvements, So if somebody else does that and they want to improve their private road to the town standards and come up with the money, I guess we're going to have to look at that also. So I don't think we're cutting any special sweetheart deal with those folks at all. I think we've come out with a pretty sound, logical plan here, but I just, like everybody else, I'm okay with taking a little more time to make sure all the issues are being addressed.
Rancourt?
Yes, I just wanted to ask the manager, Tom, it looks like this was just done on Monday,
Yes.
this draft, and I'm wondering if you've had a chance to really meet with the representatives and go over it, or has it just pretty much been a paper thing at this point?
This has been a fairly fluid process and document. I'm fairly comfortable that I've captured the essence of our meeting, but quite honestly, I just handed it to Mr. Weston this evening as well, so.
So I'm wondering if
Next meeting.
additional time would help to firm a final version.
Certainly can't hurt. The only sensitivity of time has to do with the winter weather setting in. Part of this agreement had us providing winter maintenance services. As council will recall, we've done that each of the last 2 seasons through separate agreement. That's always an option we can fall back to, but I see Mike Shaw here. I'm not sure if he can predict the weather over the next 2 weeks, but I like our chances that we're not going to have a heavy snowfall between now and December 1st. Much later than that, I think that's a real issue that you need to consider.
Correct.
Counselor DeAndrea?
I just want to thank everyone for the discussion. I was unable to attend the meeting last week, so it's good for me to hear what's going on. Having looked this over, I had some of the same concerns that Councilor Holbrook has concerning, taking that land and/or acting sort of as a bank. And I know I've had concerns about the town doing that in the past, and I know that this budget season's going to be really tight, and I'm worried about that. This is a fairly large chunk of change, and it is weighing on my mind. I certainly would support tabling this for some additional discussion, and certainly to let the residents of West Beach Ridge have some part of that discussion as well.
If I might add my comments, I think everybody's giving, I certainly would concur with Councilor Wood's planning board view of it, and I had that concern. Certainly, I would not be opposed to tabling it, but with the date certain because of ensuing potential snow, and certainly the road's not going to be probably fixed and done by that time. So those are other things that I think we need to discuss. And I think it's unfortunate sometimes, some of the information that gets into the newspaper is not as accurate as it could be because of people's misconceptions. So, we need to further discuss it. And the other point that I want to make, so that people are clear, that now, currently, if anybody wants to build houses on a private road, they must build that road to town specs. So we've nixed that problem that had existed when all of that construction was going on between the 70s and 80s. So hopefully, that has ended, but it's a matter of, clearing up the rest of them.
If I could just share one final, it's a nuance, but it's an important legal point, and this may give council some comfort, maybe give Cranberry Pines, and certainly it should give some comfort to the folks on West Beach Ridge Road. There's an important legal distinction here. Though the council, this document proposes for the town to take the interest, if you will, in the right-of-way to the property line, there would be a separate action the council would consider that would create a town way, and we would strongly suggest that that would be limited to that portion of the road that's improved. There's several hundred feet, I don't know how many hundred feet, between where the road ends and the right-of-way ends that is unimproved. I think it's still completely forested, as far as I know. That's a real important distinction. What that means is a developer in an abutting property doesn't have the right to connect. They must come back to council, a future council, and receive permission to improve that area and create that connection for a town way. That really speaks to the point that Councilor Wood made earlier, that a future council would hold say, if you will, in that connectivity. So that's certainly a point I'd like to share with in better detail at an upcoming meeting, but I just wanted to get that out there, that that's always been our proposal.
Councilor Wood?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple final thoughts. I certainly wouldn't be opposed to tabling it, at least until more of us can become more familiar and potentially comfortable with either side of the issue. But I just want to take a few minutes because, and make a pitch, if you will, that I see this as really two issues. I don't see accepting Cranberry Pines as a public way related to interconnectivity. To connect those two, no pun intended, would be to say that as it exists now, there would be no interconnectivity, and I don't believe that that's true. I believe that if we move the proposal that's in front of us right now, and we go back, say, 5, 6, 7 years, when the economy was booming, and more than a few builders in this town were building 100 homes a year, and in front of the planning board with 15 and 20 items on their agenda, 50 and 60 lot subdivisions were the norm. Rooms full of people being told, we can't hear you tonight at 10:30 p.m. was the norm. Ravines that exceeded 30 and 40 feet in height and filled in with culverts and roads created was the norm, and it will be the norm again. So, let's go back in that time for a second, and let's imagine that these residents are approached by a builder, a developer, and says, hey, how about if I build your road for you and improve it to town standards, and you give me this right away for consideration, opening up this big swath of land where I'll connect with West Beach Ridge Road or Beach Ridge Road or whatever. That's a real possibility. That's not fantasy. So I just ask that we separate these in our thinking in the next couple weeks. To consider to accept Cranberry Pines as a public way, in my opinion, is not so interconnected, interrelated, and intrinsic upon interconnectivity issue. I think they're two separate things. So, but I certainly would support my colleagues and residents being given more time to become more familiar with the potential issues of this order. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Okay. What, we have to get rid of this one first, and then
It's just the single order, I believe. But
Just the single.
Motion to replace one together.
single order the table.
I'd be happy to make that motion if you want to
We could move
replace
to replace the current order with the new one.
with the amended
And
order.
then after that, a motion to table.
Okay,
this.
I so move.
Okay, so it's been moved that
I
we
need a second, though.
replace the current order 1094 with the draft revision that we received this evening,
I'll second.
and that's been seconded. Any discussion on that? All those in favor? Okay, now a table motion.
Motion the table till the December 1st meeting.
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you, everybody.
Under new business, order number 10-99 is the first reading and schedule a public hearing on the proposed amendments to Chapter 1017, the Town of Scarborough Pawnbroker Ordinance concerning reporting requirements for purchase and sale of used goods.
Councilor DeAndrea, did you want to
Sure.
provide some info on that?
Sure. Of course, this addition to the pawnbrokers ordinance comes out of the secondhand dealers discussion that began actually about as we were kind of wrapping up the discussion about the pawnbrokers ordinance, and that we made a decision to forward the pawnbrokers ordinance without the secondhand dealers part of it, just to kind of move it along because we had taken so long to work on it. So the secondhand dealers ordinance sort of became this standalone ordinance, and it went through several discussions at the ordinance committee. It went out to discussion for the businesses as well as the police department, and came back and, of course, came through, and here we are today.
Thank you. And we did table
The
Secondhand deal.
secondhand ordinance.
secondhand ordinance tabled indefinitely.
Indefinitely, right.
Okay. Can I have a motion?
Move approval of order number 10-99.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Councilor DeAndrea.
Yeah, I'm glad to see this in here. I think that this is probably where it should have been right from the beginning. I know I had some problems with the secondhand dealers ordinance. I really, interestingly enough, supported that ordinance to begin with and was a strong advocate for it. I thought we really needed it. But as sort of discussions ensued, and the more I listened to business owners, and I guess more research I did, I mean, I really sort of came to the conclusion that, A, we've already got a state statute that covers secondhand dealers, and B, I really believe that the police department can have a good relationship with the secondhand dealers in town, and I still believe that. I think that that would work far better than an ordinance to begin with. So I am supportive of including this in the pawnbrokers ordinance, and I'm glad to see it come to fruition in that way.
Thank you. Councilor Hober?
I just had one quick, I do support it. I just had one quick thing to ask. Right now, as it stands, the section as it's added in is 208, and the information that's being asked to be kept is the seller's name, address, date of birth, and the proof of that is through a reasonable proof of identity, so that would be your license and or a military ID and that sort of thing. Just my brain has been working on this. There's, certain types of IDs, military IDs, Massachusetts licenses, those all have your social security number and whatnot, so there's a lot of confidential information, if you will, and there's no period of time set for how long these records would be kept for. So if we could have some kind of an addition in language for, that these records are kept, for a period of whatever year, I mean, I'm open to suggestion on that. I mean, keep your records for 4 years and then get rid of them, or 7 years, or whatever. But just the confidentiality aspects of it, that at some point these get destroyed, if you will.
Well, I'm not sure, is the question for maintenance of the records by the town or by the licensed pawnbroker?
The licensed pawnbroker is supposed to be maintaining the date of purchase, the seller's name, address, date of birth, a brief description of the property, including any identification numbers, And before recording the information required by this subsection, the licensee shall require reasonable written proof of the seller's identification in the form of a motor vehicle operator's license, so on and so forth. Unless I'm mistaken, and they're not keeping I would assume there's a copy of this that's going with the information.
I can tell you from the town's perspective, we fall under state statute regarding retention and disposition of records, so that's dealt with already. We'll have to check the state statute regarding these business licenses to see if there's any mention in that state statute regarding your point. And I suppose if there isn't, we can certainly incorporate one here.
Councilor Rancourt?
Thank you. Identity fraud is a very serious issue, but I don't think that, the way I read the amendment, it's not asking for a photocopy of the license, it's just asking for written proof, meaning that you have to be able to see something that's written that identifies that person. I'm not sure they're keeping a photocopy of it. So there may be nothing in the record other than the license number.
Okay.
Actually, the number 2 says the records required
Yeah.
of the subsection 1
Yep.
must be kept for the purposes of complying with this ordinance, maintained in order by date of purchase and contained in a bound volume.
But does it say, but I still didn't sort of read it that was part of it, as far as a photocopy of the license.
Could we, Chief Moulton, could you speak to that, please? I got you.
It was not the intent of this to have any requirement that the ID be photocopied or kept. I will tell you that myself and Captain Grover did visit with Mr. Bennett down at Coastal Pond, and he is in fact already doing that, keeping a photocopy of the ID. That's the way he's doing business, but this does not require that, and we're not looking for that requirement.
Thank you. Councilor DeAndrea?
I think all I was going to say is that number 1 requires, it says must record the following information. So it would seem to me that the pawn shop owner would make that decision about how to keep that information, whether he writes that down or makes a copy of it, of the license, for example. That would be his prerogative.
Correct.
Councilor Rancourt?
Yeah, I just am glad to say, I guess, that we're from a state that doesn't use your social security number on your license. It's smart enough not to do that. And I think that would probably be the majority of people frequenting a Maine business if the people from Massachusetts or other states that do have their social security on their license or in the military, they don't have to use that ID. They can use perhaps another ID that does not have their social security number on it. So I'm not sure I want to fiddle with this and require or not require any particular ID except one that can identify you. I'm not looking for people's social security number.
Our intent was only to make sure that somebody wasn't coming in and just saying, my name's John Smith and I
Right.
live at, so we wanted them to see some form of ID to in fact prove that the information that they were giving was valid.
And you're not asking for their social security number
Not
on
asking
this at
for it.
all.
That's correct.
Other comments? I would concur, having sat on the ordinance committee, that, we're putting this into the pawnbrokers, because it seems most appropriate, because that's perhaps where this potential criminal activity would take place, because people don't want to wait around and say, leave it and I'll be back and, pick it up in 30 days. They just want to get rid of it, and that's more times than not where they would get rid of that materials, as opposed to the other businesses that we looked at in Scarborough, that, is it Zion down here, that sells used, Zeus sells used clothes and jeans and things like that, which is quite different than what you'd see in the pawn shop, so. Any other comment? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
Order number 10-100 is first reading and schedule a public hearing on the proposed amendments to Chapter 301, the Town of Scarborough Administrative Code, Article 22, to modify Section 2203, the duties of the Parks and Conservation Land Board.
I could just introduce it quickly. This matter really comes a little backward. Your next order, 101. 10101 is really the precursor to this, but it's really a function of our agenda format that this order appears first. And essentially, I can let Councilor Wood speak to it, but the Rules and Policies Committee did take up and is proposing a real estate disposition policy, which again, you can find under 101. This is a companion component, since part of the policy tasks the Conservation Land Board to actually work their process in reverse. You might recall this board initially was tasked with evaluating land for purchase using town funds. Why not use this same board and their talents in their evaluation process to evaluate properties that we wish to sell? And so this simply expands their duties to include this.
Motion?
Move approval of order number 10-100.
Second. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Let Karen have it.
Comments? Comments? Councilor DeAndrea?
No, I'm just, I'm delighted that this has come before the council. This started in the ordinance committee and went to the policy committee as a policy, and I'm delighted it's here, and this is, of course, this order number 10-100 is the precursor that Mr. Hall was talking about.
Councilor Wood, did you want to add anything?
Nope, I'm ready to talk about the next order, actually, more.
Any other comments? All those in favor? Thank you.
Order number 10-101 is act on the request to adopt a policy on the disposition of town-owned property.
Councilor Wood.
Thank you.
Oops, I keep hitting that.
Well, as an introduction, again, like Town Manager Hall explained, this, I guess, did start at the Ordinance Committee and then was refined and discussed openly in the Rules and Policy Committee. Councilor Holbrook and Councilor Alquist are members of that committee. And with valuable input from the citizens and other councilors who attended those couple meetings, we have what is before you for consideration. And again, what it simply is a process by which the land board will review any consideration for us to dispose of town-owned property. And there were some significant changes from its first draft to the draft that's before you, but I don't know if it's necessary to go through it tonight. But they will have up to 60 days to make a recommendation to the town council. The bottom line is this, is that I think the future town councils will feel better informed and positioned to make a decision when we have before us an opportunity to sell town-owned property. Oh, yes, and thank you. And Mr. Hall has also brought to my attention, it also is not just excluded to the land board. It also includes municipal department, school department, sanitary district, and the historical society for input, just to make sure that we've covered every eventuality when we dispose of town-owned property. And again, it's not overly lengthy, because we do have that time period of 60 days for all this to get done, should there be any time criticality involved in the...
Real estate matters. Councilor DeAndrea?
No, this looks great. I'm really pleased, again, that this has gotten in front of the council. I attended a couple of the policy meetings and listened to some of the folks who spoke to it. The one change, though, however, I noted that did not make it in, and maybe I'll make a motion. In fact, I'll make a motion. I'd like to move for, it's section number 2, sale of town-owned real estate, number 1, and it says the town may sell. I'd like to change that word may to will.
Can I have a second on that?
Second.
Comment?
The reason I'm doing that is because as it stands right now, it says the town may. So really what it does is it gives you an ineffective policy. It's a policy that says, well, we don't really have to do that. I think that the intent here was to actually give it some teeth.
Councilor Raincoat.
Yeah, this may feed into I like this very much, and I'm generally going to support it. But the one scenario I had that I wasn't sure this addressed is when we might want to sell a property to a nonprofit for $1 or something like that. That would not want to go through the bid process. So I wonder if the manager could address that, if there any protection for that kind of thing in this. I'm not sure it relates to your comment, Councilor DeAndrea, but it may.
Certainly. I direct your attention to Section 3, award of bid. The second sentence, well, all of it, and I'll just read a couple of the sentences. The town council maintains the sole discretion awarding the bids for the sale of real estate.
Yeah.
Award shall be the highest and best bidder. It doesn't necessarily mean it's always the highest. Considering such factors where appropriate as the value of the consideration offered, the use to which the property would put after the sale, and the effect of such use on the town. So scenario may be a process where Habitat for Humanity is a bidder on a property. They may not garner the highest bid, but you may see their bid as being superior in other cases, in other factors.
So would the conjunction "and" be the right conjunction?
I'm sorry, you'll have to direct me to where.
To the highest and best?
Should it be highest or best?
I mean, I'm not sure, Mr. Hall.
Yes.
You could say highest and/or best, and that,
I mean, I just want to make sure we have that, we're allowed to do that if we need to.
We're not talking about and/or again, are we?
Oh, I know.
or.
Perhaps it's not artfully worded. The intention was to allow that flexibility
Right.
to the council.
Right. And that's why I just want to make sure we're preserving that. And I think that, is this just the first reading? So maybe we can wordsmith it a little bit for the second reading.
It's actually once and done. There's
Oh,
no-
once and done, okay.
Right, there's a motion on the floor to change the word in section 2:1 from may to will.
And so that was my argument. Should it stay may because we may not want to do a bid? Or should it be shall or will? That's my entire
Where's
conversation.
Mrs. Larry when we need her?
I know, where is she?
Any comments on that, Councilor DeAndrea?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I think the whole purpose of having this policy is because it has some teeth to it. It holds the council's feet to the fire to approach this process in this way. In other words, to engage the Parks and Conservation Land Board, to engage, the other organizations, to really have a look at the property before it's put up for sale.
Councilor Wood.
I don't know. I don't think Section 2 in the word may allows the town to decide whether it's going to employ this policy or not. The introduction, numeral 1, says the policy describes the process for the town of Scarborough to utilize. So it seems to me there's no options here. We will and we must and we shall utilize this policy. Now, if we want to use stronger words so that future councilors, certainly nobody here tonight, but future councilors will have no mistake where they must use this policy for the disposition of town-owned land, then I certainly won't get in the way of supporting that. But I believe that this is pretty clear.
Other comments? Councilor Holbrook.
I was on this committee with Mike, and I understand the concern, I do. I'm comfortable changing may to will. I don't think, to me, it's pretty clear the heart and soul of what the intent is here. So if I'm comfortable with changing the may to the will. I'm comfortable with adding the and/or if we need to in section 3, whatever you want to do with that. no matter what, though, to me, as a counselor reading it, it seems, the heart and will of it's there, but,
The only thing that's on the table right now is
Is the
the
will.
Section
Yeah.
2 and is the May to the
May.
wood.
Yeah. And I,
How's the wood?
and I'm afraid I'm spending more time than I probably should. But I do have the advantage of looking up in the dictionary, and
Oh, good.
He has a new iPad.
it does, I'm not using a cell phone. In fact, this is not capable of receiving cell phone signals. Another word for might. So the town might sell, and I think that's the context in which we're using the word here. We may come upon an opportunity to sell other real estate. Now, but, and it also was brought to my attention, make no mistake about it, no matter what word we use tonight, future councilors might take this whole policy and put it in the trash.
Correct.
So, go ahead. Whatever you might want to use.
Just a final thought.
Whatever you may wish to use, whichever word you might want to use, I will support.
Just to Councilor Rancourt's point earlier, I could envision a scenario, as she describes, whereby we don't do seal bid, but we do an RFP, where you want to have the applicants elaborate further beyond simply a number.
Yeah.
And that flexibility would allow you to do something other than a sealed bid process.
So we do have protection for that here. Because I think because it says may, we may use, no, I guess it doesn't fit there. But I just want to make sure that we, if we ever want to sell, for example, one of the schools, its use is done and the school department turns it over to the council, we may not want to sell that for cash money. We may want to sell it to a worthy cause, to put up a senior center or senior housing or those kind of things. So I want to make sure we're not closing that door. That's all I'm looking for here, is to make sure that we have that flexibility in the future.
Highest and best use.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to change the word in Section 2(1) from the word may to will. All those in favor? Opposed? It will say may.
So I'm,
Say will?
It will say will.
and now I'm back to my question to the manager.
Okay, back to the main motion as amended.
Right, do we have the protection to do that kind of thing, Tom, with this? Is there a clause that says, should we say, or by RFP? Right in here.
Well, frankly, the action council just took, I think, did pigeonhole you to doing it by sealed bid. This is a policy of council. The council at the time can choose to follow it or not. It doesn't have the strength of law, so to speak. I think there's enough flexibility still in this to enable a flexible process where you would be interested in knowing other factors beyond just price. And if it needs to be done by sealed bid to comply with this, we can find a way to work around that.
Councilor Holbert.
I'm rereading section 3, that very first sentence, if you will. The town council maintains the sole discretion regarding the award of bids and the sale of real estate. I think that kind of sums it all up in a nutshell, that, we still have the
That's true.
sole discretion of what we want to do with it.
Good point.
Yeah, you're probably right.
All those in favor of order number 10-101 as amended? Thank you.
Order number 10-102 is act on the request for a conditional mass gathering permit from Good Music Productions LLC, located at 128 North Main Street, Newton, New Hampshire, for one concert on one date based on the preliminary submittal.
Tom, did you
Yeah,
want
I'll
to?
do my best to introduce. I know we have representatives here from Good Music Productions to answer your questions. Forgive us, there seems to be some confusion with what's asked of you this evening. The application submitted and included behind the action item does reference multiple events. And to be clear, I think it is the intention of the production company to do just that. though there is, the first event is the most critically important. There's a date sensitivity associated with booking this first act. There are a number of particulars that Chief Moulton and Chief Thurlow are still working with them on to be fully satisfied that they've met all of their needs. We're confident that that information is forthcoming and will be here to our satisfaction. So we're really doing a favor to the production company to grant this approval for the first one. It would be my expectation that they would come back, now supplied with this information, and we can approve the other 4 events. So with that, we do have Chief Moulton here that can speak to it as well.
Okay, for purpose of discussion, could I have a motion?
You want to make a motion first?
I'll move approval of order number 10-102.
Second. Discussion. If we have questions, we'll have you go to the podium.
Thanks.
Councilor Jan.
I have some real concerns about this. I happen to live pretty close to Scarborough Downs, and I know there are some other people who have some of the same concerns, and my concern comes from having lived in Old Orchard Beach right around the time that the ballpark opened, and coming home from dinner one night and having to park 2 miles away and walk to my house. So this is a fear of mine, and I want to voice that. My other concern is for other businesses and other homeowners who live in or around, around the area who might experience some real traffic issues in trying to get to a business. I know we have an emergency vets, again, right down the street from Scarborough Downs. I would be very upset if my cat were sick and I could not get to the emergency vets.
Emergency what?
Emergency vets. And I think that, business owners might be concerned about people being able to get to their businesses. My thought is, my other concern is maybe we need to do one as a trial and then think about more. I have a lot of questions, and I am hoping that through the chair, we can ask Chief Moulton to come up and maybe address some of the traffic concerns, as that probably really is my biggest concern, other than perhaps noise.
I might add to that, when you look at the mass gathering ordinance, at the section 304 that's not addressed in the materials that's provided with the order tonight, is those issues of access, which relates to that safe access and ingress and egress, and the traffic control, and the things being reviewed by the chief and the planner. So those are some things that are, and that's why the order is conditional, because they need to come back with that information, very specific, at that time. So, Councilor Hobart?
I just wanted to maybe help in that scenario a little bit with the parking issue. If everybody recalls Cabela's, when they opened, they utilized the Beechwood Speedway parking lot. It had a shuttle service running back and forth. I mean, that could be something viable for you. Oh, is it?
The gentleman at the podium is Jim Goodwin, and he is the organizer of
Yes,
events.
myself and my partner Mike Flanagan, who's in the back there. Where would you like me to start? We have met with Chief Moulton and with Chief Knowlton, and I am meeting again next Tuesday to go over safety issues, police presence, fire presence, et cetera, on the grounds at Scarborough Downs. To address the noise situation, this is not anything like the ballpark. That was back in the day when laws weren't even looked at. It was get as many people in there as you possibly can. We don't care if they've got seats or not. This is a reserved seat venue. This will not be a general admission. This will be reserved seats, okay? This will be on a Sunday. So I don't think it'll disrupt business. I think it will enhance business. Whatever business is open that day should do extra business. It should enhance businesses. As far as the, like I was addressing before, the noise, in the mass gathering ordinance, there is a specific piece in there about noise. We will have monitors, front, back, and way back. We will then give you the measurements within 10 days, as it says. We will go by the rules. We are not trying to skirt any rules. We're not trying to do anything that would hinder anybody's well-being or hurt them in any way. The last concert that was held at Scarborough Downs, I believe, was in 1978. That was a rock and roll show. It was a general admission. It was a camp out for 3 days. We're opening the doors at 4 o'clock. The show will start at 6. So this is completely different. The spot, all of you are probably well aware of the layout of Scarborough Downs. This will not even be inside the track. This will be outside of the track. If you come in from, streets I'm not, if you come in off the highway.
Route 1?
No, not Route 1, the other street.
Payne Road.
There you go, that one. If you come down that street and you make a right and you come into Scarborough Downs, there's a V.
Yeah.
Where the horsemen go to the left.
Yeah.
The patrons go to the right. We'll have a ticket booth there. We'll stop everybody. If you don't have a ticket, you turn around and you go out. Okay? We have plenty of stacking from that road all the way in. Same thing on the other side, coming in off of Route 1. We'll set up a ticket booth by the business that's on the left as you come in that street. What is it? No, is that the veterinarian? No.
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 Up by the hotel?
No, down from the hotel, there's an emergency exit for a business.
Right.
Wherever that is,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
We'll put the other ticket booth there, so we'll control people coming in both directions, and we'll have plenty of stacking. Stacking meaning getting them off the highway, okay? If in fact we can, well, wait a minute, what I was trying to get to is where this is going to be. If you come in off, is it PV Road? Or what's the name of that road?
Payne Road.
What is it?
Payne Road?
Yeah, that's it, Payne Road. If you come in that way, and you make a right, and the first clearing that you come to on your right, in fact, I think you have
Yeah, we do.
I
Could we
think Mr. Wood has
go-
a diagram. You all should have a diagram.
Could we just go
No?
from the point of having the council ask specific questions at
Oh,
this
sure,
point?
okay.
So that we can clear up any misconceptions that they
No
might
problem.
have or any concerns. Council Hobart?
How many cars are you expecting? And I'm asking this because there is a sizable amount of space there where Haunted Hayrides utilizes, one side of, I know these at this point in the game are pretty grassed over, but what used to be parking lot,
Correct.
there's a large amount of space there.
The grandstand.
What's the capacity as far as parking there and how many you're expecting?
By your rules, I believe, I'll get them out.
I know some of that parking's been lost to woods, but.
We have approximately 27 acres of parking. Okay? By going by your strict rules of 3 persons per car and 150 cars per acre, you would need 28 point, whatever it is, acres to park. You would need 28.57. Okay, we have on that sheet, I believe it says 25 point something.
25.97.
All of the parking is not taken into consideration. There is additional parking. If you look and see where it says where the concert will be held, you require, I think it's 100 feet per 10 people. Anyways, it's 150,000 square feet for 15,000 people. If you look there, it says it's 358,000 feet, which is more than twice the size. The space that we wouldn't utilize there would be for VIP parking, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that would add on to your 25 point, whatever it is. Now, these are the things that I would like to get more concise for both chiefs to, so that they know exactly how much parking we have, how the egress and ingress is, where everything is going to happen, et cetera. The reason we asked for this meeting so quickly was...
Answer the parking?
I'm sorry? Oh, you want me to get, all right, I'm sorry, stop.
Has he answered your question sufficiently, Council Hobart?
I think we know.
All right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Other questions?
I just had one clarifying question.
Are you finished, Council?
I was just curious as to the type of concerts that we're talking, we're talking, like you said before, the last concerts that were held there
No.
were rock concerts. Are these family-oriented by and large, or, is this a certain genre of music you're looking at?
I believe the last one was Blue Oyster Cult and whatever, a hard rock. We would not do that. Country, soft rock.
First show was a country act,
Yes.
one of the biggest country acts in the world.
The audience at home cannot hear if you speak from your
Yes.
seat, so if we could
The
ask-
first show that we're trying to put together is a country act. And everybody would know it, but you can't play your cards until you have an offer in. You can't put an offer in until you have the right license. And so it's like the chicken and the egg, but that's why we're here, is trying to get a conditional permit so that we can put the offer in, then come back and say, here's what we have. We've been with both chiefs. Here's our plan. What do you think? So
Okay.
that's where we're at.
Council Rancourt.
Yeah, I had a clarifying question about, I guess more for Chief Moulton than anybody else, and about the stacking issue from both Route 1 and Payne Road. As we all are aware, the turnpike doesn't come in like it used to, directly across from the track entrance on the Payne Road side, and of course, the Route 1 side is a fairly busy section of Route 1, and I am not opposed to this at all, but I am remembering summer nights when we had backup for the Portland Twin Drive-In that didn't seat anywhere near this amount, all the way up through the intersection at Oak Hill, and that had a lot of parking places for the people who were going there. So I'm wondering, in your estimation, is this, or have you not had time to really vet it, to see if this is really, what impact this will have on both of those intersections?
Sure. We haven't seen the specifics. We do know conceptually what we're looking at. I will tell you that by and large, I think where they're talking about having ticket booths and so forth is going to be in a fair distance, and depending on how that's set up, I'm assuming that would be in only at that point, so there could be several lanes set up there, and if in fact they're only checking tickets there and making sure that everybody in the vehicle has a ticket, that would seem to me that would go fairly quickly, and those people would be ushered off to get their parking. So, having not seen the specific plan, it's hard to answer precisely, but I would say conceptually, I don't anticipate that we would have problems.
Councilor Wood next, and then Councilor Alquist, and then Councilor DeAndrew.
Thank you. I'm sorry, sir, I forgot your name.
Jim Goodwin.
Thank you, Mr. Goodwin. Well, I certainly have a lot to look forward to, I think, as this matures through the process, and I certainly am excited about the possibility of having Scarborough Downs be utilized, that area be utilized, other than, just the trotters and the Halloween, we used to have a flower show there and a
Yep.
home show, and so this is a great opportunity to utilize this outstanding area for such things. I can't think of a better area in town that at least can be considered for such a activity. My concern has to do with some access also, and I think I think it's very important that we all know Scarborough. What's the road called? Scarborough Downs Road. Let's call it Scarborough
The one
Downs
that goes
Road.
through?
Forgive me.
Yeah.
That's used day in and day out as a cut-through, Payne Road to Route 1. Now, during this activity, during this event, I don't believe that would be able to continue. You could see the issues that would, come up with that. So there needs to be ample advertisement for folks passing along Route 1 in Payne Road that, no, you can't go through like you do every day, not today, or not on any day that this activity is taking place. So there's got to be a measure of control there. I see this control as being exceptionally important to keeping traffic along Payne and Route 1 in the manner that we've been accustomed to, however you might define that, but safely anyway. And that's going to require a lot of folks.
Mhm.
So I imagine that you have many folks that are going to be participating, traffic calming, traffic direction. There might be, I would imagine, some Scarborough police officers that might be there employed, for outside duty type of opportunities there. So I think that's very important. And of course, the stacking issue you've already spoken to, so we know that we got to move the traffic efficiently. Noise, with a concert comes noise. It's an outdoor concert. Some folks live close to Scarborough Downs. I live close to the Beechwood Speedway. When there's a race, the noise is the noise of a race. That's fine, So I would think that the noise is going to be expected and mostly welcomed, I would think.
Depending on the music.
Well, again, in the music, the venue, I don't know. Whatever, I don't know. I have my personal taste, like everyone here on the council does, but the mass gathering permit or ordinance, I don't believe speaks to what genres was to consider, right?
Sound.
But I think country's a good start. I think that might be a good, safe venue, and look back on it and say, hey, we were successful, and then you can move on from that, certainly. That would be my idea, anyway. What about restrooms and facilities such as that nature? Would they be portable?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and as this points out, we're going to need about 100.
And concessions and all that?
Yes.
And is that going to be supplied all by you, or will there be third-party folks?
Third parties.
I see. And that's going to be well-controlled, of course, the location where all that's going to go?
Yeah, that's the other part
Okay.
that we're working on.
So, I guess what's in front of us now is, when I was on the planning board and we were getting near the end of approving a site plan, it was always conditions.
Correct.
1, 2, or 3. But when it got to 7, 8, and 9, we actually tabled and moved to the next one. Am I right, Bud? It was like a threshold, So I'm having a hard time putting my arms around as to how many conditions are we talking about here, but I don't want to depart from my charge here as a counselor and go into some other area. This is the expertise that belongs with, Chief Moulton and others, but I'm trying to just understand what it is, what conditional permit will be before us. What is that going to look like? That's all. Insofar as the ordinance is met, I approve. I'd be okay with that, but
I think as you look
Sure.
at the mass gathering ordinance, that the major area that they did not address in what you see here with the order is that access because of
Okay.
the need to continue to meet with the two chiefs and things, so.
So what's before us, if I may, Madam Chair, what's before us today is just a discussion as we're having now, and Mr. Goodwin and others are coming back to us to give us the details.
Correct.
So if you want to hear from this one council whether I'm supportive of what I've heard so far, absolutely. Bravo,
Okay.
carry on, and thank you for bringing your business to Scarborough.
That's what we're looking for.
Councilor Alquist.
Yeah, I support this. I think it's probably a good idea.
Thank you.
But for me personally, I'm going to look at the police chief and the fire chief. It's their job to put all the pieces together for us and make sure that the ordinance, a mass gathering ordinance, is complied with. And I'm going to look at their expertise. I'm not going to sit here and try to second guess them and rewrite the ordinance to make it be what I want it to be. I think it's a good idea. I'm not worried about the concerns of traffic if the mass gathering ordinance is adhered to. I think that they will be taken care of. I would suggest that you keep working very closely with the police chief and the fire chief, and I'm going to take their expertise under advisement, and I certainly I support this, and I think this is a good first step, and I say go for it.
Good, thank you.
Councilor DeAndrew.
Thanks. You mentioned the starting time was 6. What is the
6 o'clock.
ending time?
You have to be through by 11 PM, according to the mass gathering permit.
So I could be listening to music until 11 o'clock at night?
No, it said-
When
no,
I'm
no.
going to bed Sunday night to get up for work
I didn't
early.
say it would end at 11. It will certainly end by 11, probably sooner.
So that doesn't really
11 to
answer
11.
my question. It's sort of open-ended.
And I think some of that.
I can't tell you that.
Detail, again, right now, the importance is that they have a conditional
Right.
permit so that they can then book the person, and then they're going to come
Right.
back and we can really get into the minutia a little bit.
You're
further.
exactly right.
And I guess, too, and maybe I'm not clear about what this means to be conditional. And that is that, because in here, it talks about 1 to 5 concerts. Again, to me, if we were talking about a concert, I would probably feel more comfortable, but not knowing if there's going to be 1 or 5 or 3 or...
Right.
This speaks to one concert.
Right.
This order,
The ordinance, the order.
if you read it, for one concert on one date based on the preliminary submittal.
Oh, because on the application inside, it
Right,
says 1 to
inside,
5.
but right now, for tonight's order, it's for that one, because they need that jumping off point. Okay?
Thank you.
Councilor Hobart?
I just thought give you my comment now. Now, I had my
Good.
question earlier. My thoughts on it are, generally speaking, I'm happy to see this. I think it's a great use of the area. I think it's well needed. I think it adds some diversity. I think it definitely boons some of Scarborough's economy. All these people need to eat, they need to sleep, they're gonna need, spending
Absolutely.
money in our town, great.
Mhm.
I completely, I support it, absolutely. Noise, I live on Beach Ridge Road, I listen to the Speedway every weekend, all summer long. I'll be interested to see who I hear more. It'd be kind of maybe a welcome change to
I
hear
think
something more than
we're-
screeching
we're-
tires.
If you look at that little diagram, the speakers will face the old stands.
Okay.
So the sound should get blocked by those stands going over the track for anybody who lives on the other
And
side.
the sound will be one of the things that you'll need to
Absolutely.
address.
We'll go right by this, right by the mass gathering.
The only other, just side note I know Mike brought up, maybe posting Scarborough Downs for a few days ahead of the event.
Mhm.
That's a private road.
It is.
It says it right smack in the front of it. It's a private, no throughway, so they shouldn't have been there in the first place, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, as an accommodation, we'll work it out with the chief as to what he thinks would be the right thing to do, and we'll do it.
That's because people don't read signs.
Oh, okay.
Councilor Sullivan had a question.
I just wanted to say, I think it's a good idea. I don't have any problem with giving it a try. It's probably going to be a good thing for Scarborough businesses, bringing in, like everyone else is saying, people to use the restaurants and the hotels. I don't see any problem in giving it one shot and seeing how it goes.
Well, just to clarify, we're looking for one permit at the moment.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
Only because of time constraints and trying to book one particular act. Okay? Once we get all the details ironed out, we will be looking to book more acts. So that one show will not be over by the time we're looking for another.
But you'll
Okay,
be
so
back with
I want to be
another
clear about
application.
that.
Yeah, you were.
So, how many are you anticipating?
Well, you can't do more than 5.
Okay,
So,
Yeah.
according to the ordinance.
right.
So, somewhere between 1 and 5, I can't even tell you that. I have no idea.
Councilor Rancoon.
I just have a semi-humorous, but could be very serious question.
Okay?
What are you going to do if it rains?
That's a good question. This is, when I said reserve seats, what happens in the concert business, if you sell a GA show, GA meaning general admission, if you sell a general admission show, everybody buys their tickets late because they want to see the weather report, because they're going to be standing up, not sitting down. If you sell a reserve seat, where do you want to sit? In the front or the back? So when do you buy your tickets? You buy them early. And it says right on the ticket, right on everything else, rain or shine. Now, the stage is covered.
How much of a fan are you?
Good point.
Bring
A
your
very good
umbrella
point.
and bring your slicker.
We went to see the Eagles not too long ago down at Gillette Stadium. It poured. We went, we had slickers on, we had a great time. If it rains, the entrepreneurs in town should have a large supply of those $5 ponchos. They make a ton.
That's our side business.
Other comments before we finalize this? Councilor DeAndrea.
Yeah, I want to say, I think it's a great idea. I love concerts like anyone else, but I don't love them next to my house. So I will probably be a dissenting vote this evening.
And I haven't weighed in as yet, and certainly I look forward to some of these concerts. I think it's a use that is good for Scarborough Downs, and I'm glad
think
that
it is.
they have taken the blinders off a little bit, because there's a lot of revenue to be made for them and for the community, so. Councilor Wood.
And I'll offer myself as a liaison to go to that first concert and report back to the council.
No, the council chair gets that.
Rain or shine?
Chair, but-
Rain or shine?
Rain or shine.
Okay, are we ready to vote on this? All those in favor of, not opposed? One. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Resolution 10-12 is a resolution supporting the Greater Portland Economic Development Corporation.
Harvey, would you like to speak to this, please?
We can sell the Thank you.
Marketing, huh?
You don't want us necessarily to read this thing. Summarize it first.
Thank you. Those look like cans of paint.
Thanks.
Thank you. I'm here tonight to ask your support for the efforts of my colleagues and I and the other communities of Greater Portland to create Greater Portland Economic Development Corporation. And just give you some really quick background. In 2007, the economic development staffs of South Portland, Portland, Westbrook, and Scarborough got together to figure out how do we market Greater Portland. One of the things we discovered was that, well, we didn't discover it, we knew
most of the economic development in Maine is a company moving from one town in Maine to another town in Maine, probably 98% of it. Scarborough has done very well with that. Statistics show from 2000 to 2008, there were 10,000 jobs created in Greater Portland, and Scarborough got 4,000 of them. At that point, Portland lost 1,700 of them. Most of them are in Scarborough now. So we got together realizing that it's very hard and very expensive to market our individual communities. So on a handshake, we created this Greater Portland economic development effort and produced this brochure that you have in front of you, as well as a display. And we started doing trade shows to promote Greater Portland. Part of it, we figure people in Kansas may not know where Scarborough, Maine is, but they should know where Greater Portland is. And the idea behind it is get interest both nationally and internationally in Greater Portland, and then each community would work to attract the business. This came to the attention of the Metro Coalition, which is a subcommittee of the Greater Portland Council of Governments, and they were very supportive of it and asked us to add Cape Elizabeth and Falmouth, which that makes up the 6 communities of Greater Portland in the Metro Coalition. They also encouraged us to create a real organization and incorporate it, and really with the goal of marketing Greater Portland through trade shows, through all kinds of media. Working together has really worked out well, and the 4 communities, again, Portland, South Portland, West Portland, and Scarborough, working together has affected legislation benefiting economic development in Greater Portland for the first time ever. There's a program the state had called the Pine Tree Zones, which gives really good benefits to businesses locating in Maine. Cumberland County was excluded from that. And we got together, held a meeting of our legislators, and the legislators kept telling us, don't bother asking, you'll never get it. Well, we kept up our efforts, and now Pine Tree Zones are available to businesses coming into Greater Portland. So what we're doing tonight by resolution is going, and what we've done before, we're going to all 6 communities to ask for support. That's really all we're asking at this point. We're not asking for funding. We're finding funding other places. The first year of the corporation will be really a startup. In the next few years, we think we have found sufficient funding to fund it. We're not looking to staff it. The economic development staffs for the 4 communities, 6 communities, actually, probably 5 communities. Cape Elizabeth wants to be a part of it, but doesn't really want any development right now, or commercial development, but they have given our support. Right now, so far, Cape Elizabeth, Falmouth, and South Portland have voted to support it. Scarborough, hopefully, is tonight, and then Portland and Westbrook are coming up. So I'll be happy to answer any questions, tell you more about it if I can without taking up a lot of time.
Councilman Wood.
Thank you. Thank you, Harvey, and certainly I support the concept. Now, what we have in front of us that you handed out of these brochures, was this, this was the, can we call it the more informal
Yes.
predecessor to what is in front of us?
That came out of our handshake. And I didn't mention, we also geared it up to biotech and bioscience to start off with, and part of that was to pool our money to do the Bio 2007 show in Boston, which was a big international biotech show. And at that point, we wanted to target it. We're now looking to expand it to attract precision manufacturing and information technology as well, and get word out that Greater Portland is a good place to do business. So this is, quite surprisingly, it's taken us a long time once we got more organized, but we got this out, we got a brochure out, we did several shows, and it was all in a handshake. And we're developing protocols so that we are not fighting with each other, but working together. It still comes down to the local level. You want business in Scarborough, South Portland wants business in South Portland. But we want to get them in here looking at the area, and that's what we found very hard.
Okay, so thank you for that. Now, real quick, so these 4 communities have a handshake, and it looks like they've done some great things on that handshake. now we have two more communities that have said, hey, can we get a piece? So they come in, so now we got to redo the brochures. But, second, one of them really doesn't want to make that full commitment. So my question is that, maybe you don't now, but will you have in place, this Board of Directors, will they have in place a quantitative approach to inviting other member communities to the organization? I mean, we see it now as, well, 4, now we see it as 6, possibly 5. So my point is that I don't think Scarborough should fight, if you will, or compete, if you will, with another entity, another community that's not willing to put up the same effort, cost, and contribution.
We don't see it as competition, we see it as working together. And really, our intent right now are simply Greater Portland communities, and that's the 6 communities in the Metro Coalition. So I don't see anyone, and it's really our intent, and I would think when we do create a Board of Directors, we'll stress that, and hopefully it'll be the same, that these 6 communities will be the Greater Portland Economic Development Corporation, and we'll be working together and independently.
How do you see this working with SEDCO? Do you see this as a conflict, a complement, or what?
The one thing about economic development, and interesting about this, is it's probably the hardest thing to regionalize because economic development is local. It really gets down to how you sell your community. And we don't expect a regional group to sell the individual communities. That's my job, that's my colleague in South Portland's job, and my colleagues in Portland. So it's, in addition to it, it will help us market at less cost to Scarborough and to SEDCO, and more effectively, we think, for all the communities. So it's not, I see it just the opposite, not conflicting, but working together.
Well, certainly is a lot to support at this point. I would just make a couple of small suggestions. One is, I think, a picture of our beautiful town should find its way on this brochure.
Well, there are going to be a lot of changes.
And the name Scarborough should remain on the top line at all costs. Thank you.
Other comments, questions of Robbie?
We actually, just to that, we talked just yesterday about how do we're going to do a show fairly soon, which is the Marita Show, mostly just to tell people locally that what we're doing. And it's interesting, we've done it before, and the one thing people have come up and said, you guys are working together, that's really great. But trying to figure out how do we list the names, and I think right now we're at population, so we may not be number 1, but we may be number 2 on the list. We're going to do it alphabetically, but that means Cape Elizabeth is first, and we couldn't agree on that. So.
Business development.
Okay. Other comments or questions? Could I have a motion to accept the resolution? I don't believe we need to read.
It's a very long resolution. I apologize for that.
I'll move approval of accepting resolution number 10-12, recognition of the Greater Portland Economic Development Corporation, Scarborough Charter member.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Thank you very much, Harvey.
Thank you.
Okay. No non-action items. Standing and special committee reports and liaison reports. Councilor DeAndrea?
Nothing at the moment. Things are sort of in limbo.
Councilor Rankler?
I really have nothing to report tonight, since the only committee I've taken over is for the temporary, now that Richard's on. I won't have to do that any longer. Appointments, and we haven't had any meetings, so I have nothing else to report. Thank you.
Councilor Wood?
Nope, nothing to report tonight, thank you.
Councilor Alquist?
All set.
Councilor Holbrook?
Just that the Housing Alliance is going to be meeting on Thursday, December 2nd at 6:30. And if I could, just kind of take a moment to say, there are 2 vacancies on this committee, and desperately looking for some interested candidates to apply. So, the thought for somebody that's interested, as I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you.
Thank you. Councilor Sullivan?
No.
I attended I'm the liaison to WOW, and that meeting occurred yesterday. Budget seems to be working well, and I think The only other issue was the potential for perhaps a drop-in site for seniors that the manager and the Community Services Director were going to look at, but that's something for the future. Energy Committee has met. They'll meet again December 9th at 8 a.m. And that's it for committees for me.
Counselor Roy, I forgot something. I did want to say that as your liaison, one of your liaisons to the Wentworth Building Committee, our next meeting is Monday at 6:30 at the Wentworth Band Room.
That's Monday, the 22nd.
22nd.
Manager's report.
Yes, a few quick items. First of all, I want to congratulate Councilor Roy for being elected chair, and certainly Councilor Wood for being vice chair. Welcome Richard back. Good to have you, and certainly thank Councilor Rancourt for her time as chair. I enjoyed the experience. I did want to mention to members of council and certainly to the public that the public forum for the smart meters, this is a meeting to be coordinated with CMP and a number of their consultants, we'll call them, to listen to and then hopefully respond to concerns expressed by members of the public regarding the so-called smart meter installation campaign. Some of you may be well aware that a number of neighboring communities have expressed similar sentiments, though none of them quite to the level that Scarborough has in terms of us requesting a meeting, a forum, if you will, to discuss this matter. But I know Cape Elizabeth has passed a resolution. I believe the town of Sanford passed one just last night. And it's rumored that South Portland's considering such a similar action in the coming weeks. So it may well be that we have a number of neighboring residents, if you will, and maybe elected officials who want to come and just be at least witness to, if not partake in our forum as well. That is scheduled for Monday, November 29th, 7 p.m. in these chambers. I've made arrangements so the proceeding will be broadcast and certainly tape delayed. We want to provide that to other communities as well. I'm still toying with the format for that meeting. I know it's important to get through a couple of pretty critical pieces that night, not the least of which provide an opportunity for the public to express their concerns, but also for CMP and their staff to respond to those. And that's going to be a bit of a trick to accomplish that efficiently in one evening. So stay tuned on that, and I welcome your comments in terms of ideas to format that meeting to make sure we can get out of it what we really intend. Quickly on the pier project, the week of November 29th, the project will start. The contractors will be on site, and we expect them to remain on site through the completion. And a couple of housekeeping matters. As soon as the new chair fills the committee appointments, there are, as was mentioned, a number of appointments that the Appointments Committee needs to consider, and I'll be pleased to work with whomever is chair of that committee, and all the others, of course. And lastly, I was made aware today that the Wentworth Building Committee would like to actually have a workshop with the full town council. They've proposed to do it before your meeting of December 15th, 6:30, if that's possible. And I think they'd like to just apprise you of their composition, their process, and they may well want to have other ones as they move through their process, but they wanted to start making sure they heard from council at the front end of this process. I can work with the council chair in finalizing those details, but that request has been made. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council comments. Councilor Alquist.
I want to thank Carol for being chairperson the past year, and good job. And certainly welcome Judy and Mike. I think they'll do a really good job, and I look forward to working with them this coming year.
Councilor Holbrook.
Couple quick things. The first one is Higgins Beach. First and foremost, thank you to everybody who has been sending input either way, for or against, whatever your thoughts, your feelings. I do get those emails, I do read them, so I appreciate it. I do just want to touch base on something real quick. I've had come through a few times. There was a couple of points it was thought or insinuated about the Higgins Beach, the committee that was formed was kind of lopsided, if you will. I'm last man standing at this moment for, I have appointments committee last year. It was during the time when Mr. Babine was still here that we had to form that committee. And unfortunately, I think you were absent that day, so it's just myself that was there that day that can speak for it. That committee actually, just so that everybody's clear, there were only 9 applicants for it. And of the 9, we did the best we could for it. So I just wanted to make that clear and open and available to people as food for thought, that there was no staggering one side versus another. The other thing I wanted to touch on is just a thank you to SEDCO and to Maine Eye Care, and as well as the residents. They had a neighborhood meeting last night. I found it very informative. It was a great way for not only for me to understand where some of the residents down in that community feel, but also nice to see what some of the intent might be for that parcel. So again, thank you to them. And then last but not least, it is still hunting season. Don't forget your orange, and happy Thanksgiving.
Councilor Sullivan.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everybody that came out and supported me and voted for me. It was very heartfelt, the support that I had, and I appreciate it greatly. And it was I really enjoyed Tuesday, meeting and greeting a lot of people from Scarborough going into the polls. Last year I missed that. I will not miss it again. It was very good to see a lot of old friends and a lot of new people I met up there. So it was a good experience. The other thing I want to touch on is the meeting of last night with the neighbors and Maine Eye Care. I'd like to hear input once the neighbors down there digest what will be happening with that piece of land. And I'd like to hear some input from that after they deliberate it between each other and stuff to see where we go next with that. And that'll finish my comments for tonight.
Councilor DeAndrew.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to say that I was glad for the meeting around the neighborhood issue and the BOR zone last night. Was very informative. I think everybody there, regardless of what side of the aisle or table or however you want to put it you were on, they were very appreciative that the meeting was made available to them, and I think that was important. They shook hands and thanked the folks from Maine Eye Care for being there, and it was nice to meet the folks from the neighborhood and listen to what they had to say. So thank you for that. Thank you, Town Manager Hall, for bringing up the smart meter issue. I spoke with Lisa Boxer today and also received a packet of the response to the complaint, and if people are interested in looking at those documents, PUC has that up on their website, and it's relatively easy to find anyway, although you do need the docket number. I think if folks are really interested in looking at those documents, you can either contact Manager Hall or myself. I have that information as well. So, and in addition to the possibility of South Portland, I think Portland will be hearing this, and I think that there's been some rumblings in Yarmouth as well. So it is definitely interesting that ratepayers across the street, across the state, are starting to begin to see that there are some issues with these smart meters, and I think that they want to see CMP take some further action about that. Other than that, I would just like to add that in light of the fact that it is hunting season and people are wearing their orange, there are still gun locks available at the police station, which is open 24 hours a day. Thank you.
Councilor Rancourt.
Thank you, and I want to welcome Richard back to the council, and Judy and Mike as our officers for this year. I think this is going to prove to be another challenging, fun year for all of us here on the council.
Challenging but fun.
Challenging but fun, yes. I have just one item tonight. I had a letter from the Eastern Trail Alliance telling us that the Eastern Trail has just added 5 more miles, and the miles that they've added are between Biddeford and Kennebunk, mostly through the town of Arundel. So from Scarborough, you can, actually from what we did at Hillcrest Mobile Home Park, we can walk all the way through to Kennebunk now on a protected easement. So they're going to have a celebration on November 30th at 10 a.m. for the dedication of those new miles, and they invited all town councils who live along the Eastern Trail to attend.
Councilor Wood.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I'd like to thank Carol for your fine job last year as chairperson. Really appreciate it. I know how much work goes into that, and most of it's behind the scenes. There's a lot of coordination, a lot of phone calls, a lot of extra meetings, and you did a fine job. No surprise to me, but you did a fine job, and I appreciate it very much. And welcome, Judy, and congratulations. Look forward to working with you this year, as I have in all previous years, but in particular as you steer the council through 2010 and 2011. Welcome back, Richard. Congratulations. Look forward to working with you again. And quickly about the smart meters, that was 7 o'clock on the 29th, and there is a, maybe we can put on the website that link for that California discussion on November 18th. Is it tomorrow? So it might be too fast. That's quick, isn't it?
Is this the address at the Commonwealth Club?
Yes. Maybe that would be enough. It's a Commonwealth Club of California. Yeah, is doing a discussion with a big group of well-known and experts and advocates for all sorts of things that might prove to be educational on this smart meter thing. At least it'll give you one side, maybe a couple of different sides, and have you maybe better prepared for the meeting on the 29th. Forgive me for being vague, but I know it's Commonwealth Club of California, but I don't have the web address right now. I think it's embedded in one of my emails. But back to the smart meter, and I applaud the town of Scarborough for taking the lead on this, but that's the easier step, I think. The harder step is to not only come out and request that CMP and maybe the PUC and all others educate our citizens, if you will, or speak to our citizens about the whole AMI program, but we provided a venue for them, a building, a time, and a place. And I would ask any other community to either, certainly join us in that endeavor, and maybe also offer the same kind of thing in their town, too, because it's one thing to come out and say that we have concerns and we want our citizens to be better informed, but I think you need to really kind of go the next step, and I think Scarborough's done that. But toward that end, I think that we should, I personally anyway, believe that this should be one of at least another meeting. I always seen that first meeting as one that kind of gets the ball rolling, if you will, puts a subject on the table, gets a lot of good questions asked. Likely not all of them will be answered, and maybe a second at least could be a nice opportunity to kind of round things up a little bit and maybe put a bow on the package, if you will, and then, let folks decide how they're going to decide. So I like to think this is the first of at least more than one meeting. I've gotten a lot of emails also. I typically don't, honestly, get a lot of emails and certainly even fewer phone calls, but I have gotten a fair number of emails on the Higgins Beach parking. And as is always the case, the vast majority of them are well thought out, and I very much appreciate it, no matter, what side of the argument folks come down on. But there were a couple that I think I just wish to spend 1 minute just on the public record correcting. There's more than a few from our neighbor to the northeast, our good neighbors in Cape Elizabeth, that are under the impression that we apparently, I have visions that they believe the town of Scarborough went door to door asking for money to buy this parking lot. And, obviously that's not true. The town of Scarborough, the citizens paid for half of that parking lot, if you will, and the other properties on Mussey Road, but we weren't really as much interested in those. We all know that. It was, what, $600,000 plus from the taxpayers of Scarborough. The rest of the money was ponied up by the Maine for Land Future?
Land for Maine's future.
Land for Maine's Futures, thank you. And they may have knocked on your door in Cape Elizabeth. And certainly that contribution is helpful, but it wasn't the town of Scarborough that was soliciting from its neighbors money, So, but as we continue to talk about Higgins Beach, I really think, I truly know that whatever we come to agree on, it's going to be a compromise. Not everybody's going to be 100% happy. I'm hoping that it'll be a reasonable compromise where reasonable people can look at it and move forward and try it out, if you will. And hopefully it'll, I know that whatever we come up with will be better than what we have today. And it's not about the surface, and it's not about restricting access. In fact, I believe whatever we do come up with is something that supports and enhances and attracts people to use the piece of property that we're turning into a parking lot. That's really what it's about, in my view, to make it easier for folks to use that parking lot and more cost-effective. In fact, I'm interested in maybe coming up with a price structure such as free parking below 2 hours, if you will, to help make that happen even more so. But anyway, that's it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mike. Just a few comments. I'll keep it brief, Councilor Alquist, so be timely here. Certainly, I always like to offer condolences to families, and certainly condolences to the family of Roger Welch. He was a summer resident at Higgins Beach for many, many years, a lawyer from Westbrook, crackerjack lawyer. He used to be my lawyer when I owned a couple businesses. Always played the devil's advocate. Really knew how to wheel and deal, get his clients what they needed. It was good. Certainly, too, beyond that, congratulations to the girls' soccer team winning the Class A. That's super. And the boys' football team, although they did not win against Cheverus, they gave Cheverus one of the hardest fights that they've had from any team throughout the whole season. So I think that kudos to them for that. The neighborhood meeting, certainly this is a NIMBY for me. It's in my backyard. The proposed sketch plan, the driveway to the proposal is directly opposite my property. So I am ingrained in this. It was a good meeting. I think it was wonderful that the Maine Eye Care put themselves out there. They didn't have to do that, and I think that's a plus for them, and it says to me they're willing to work with the neighborhood so that whatever happens will be, easy for the neighborhood. So I look forward to more talk on that, and I have made sure that other neighbors who have not been either here or at that neighborhood meeting have gotten copies of what the proposal is, and I have been, polling them so that I get the other opinions, because most of the people that we had certainly were opposed to it, so I wanted to be sure that everybody was represented. But it's going to be a difficult project for me because it directly affects myself. But I certainly have no vested interest in it. I was asked that. Nobody's paid me any money, so it's purely being a resident, but having to make a tough decision as a counselor, whether I like the project or not. The Higgins Beach issue, I too have received lots of emails. I was liaison to that committee. Actually, I was a committee member because the way the committee was set up. And what I've said back to the folks is that, remember, at this point, the recommendations have been made to the council. The council has yet to discuss it, and I think, as Mike said, when we discuss it, hopefully we can come to a middle ground, to a compromise that certainly will meet the needs for quality of life, not only of the residents, but quality of life of the visitors to that community. There seems to be a lot of people getting themselves really worked up, and I think they need to give us the chance to have the open discussion and look at the recommendations. So hopefully that will happen begin at the next meeting, at the December 1st meeting. The smart meters, if you've paid attention to some of the attachments Tom has sent, there's a very large attachment from the CDC relative to health issues associated with smart meters, and that report was just completed as of this month. It's just been published out about radio frequency, and that's very, very interesting, because that's one of the key areas that people are keying in on, whether or not radio frequency increases risks of cancer, and so there's a lot of good information in that study. And then lastly, I handed across to everybody a copy of all of the committees and liaison positions that are needed for the committee appointments, and I would ask that you get this back to me as soon as possible. You can drop it off with the town clerk, and so that I intend to sit with my vice chair, Mike, and we'll look at the committees and hopefully be able to get people onto the committees if they would like, and maybe put you on committees that you haven't even asked for. We'll spread the wealth. The other thing, I presume everybody got the letter from MMA, just asking us to indicate how we wanted to receive our legislative bulletin, and in the effort to save monies, one of the ways in which you can get the bulletin from the state is to have it emailed to you, and I would encourage people to make a call to them or an email to them. There's both a number and an email to let them know, how you want to receive your bulletin, and hopefully you'll do that by e-bulletin, and that way we'll save paper and money and all those good things. With that, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Judy.
Oh, my back is killing me.
Yeah, you said that, but it's because I've been sitting on.
Judy.
How many?